are with DAZN's Watch Party. Connect with friends and share the moment. Watch Party on DAZN.
Boxing fans, navigate through all the fights on the card and go round by round to relive the action you want to see. Navigate key moments and create your own highlights, only with DAZN.
At home or on the move, we connect fans to the heart of sport on any device. Easily browse the DAZN schedule to see upcoming fights or catch up on recent events.
What a fight! How do you like it? The fight is over! And still, pound for pound, the best in the world.
Well, there is a stunning outcome.
An upset, a huge upset.
Champions League winners are Leon!
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome. The fight starts now! Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome. It's now time for the featured bout of the evening. From the four corners of the world to the four corners of this ring, the fight starts now!
Good afternoon, everybody. It is the penultimate day of Fight Week in Sheffield ahead of a stacked card on Saturday Night Live on DAZN. 11 fights on the bill, topped by an all-Sheffield clash for the £140 British title between Dalton Smith and Sam O'Mason. This afternoon, it is the time for the weigh-in, and you can see it behind us. There's Darren Barker's child just being rugby tackled across the screen, and we had a little rain scare about 10 minutes ago, but thanks to global warming, the sun has come out again.
And the sunglasses are out, but I'm in Gibraltar.
You look very good, mate. You look very good indeed. Hopefully, Alan Babbage doesn't throw you in a swimming pool again.
Yeah, that is very true.
Fingers crossed. So we're going to see 11 fights weigh in this afternoon. A big one. Crikey, that's loud in my ear. Kieran Conway will be first up on the weigh-in. He's got a big night, September 17th, on the Canelo Triple G undercard against Austin Ammo Williams at £160.
Yeah.
Speaking to his team and him in the last few days, they said he's better when he's been a little bit active beforehand. Very sensible decision to get out against a solid seasoned fighter like Gregory Chanel, but somebody that he should deal with on Saturday.
Crucial, and I really like what I'm hearing from Conway at the presser yesterday. Fully focused on tomorrow night. This is a tune-up, warm-up, or whatever you want to call, but you got to remember the guy in the opposite corner is looking to win. He's looking to kickstart his career, looking to cause a big upset that can maybe get him into these big fights. So really happy what I'm hearing from him. He's fully focused on the task at hand, because the fight that he has on the Triple G Canelo bill is huge against Williams.
Yeah, ranking place with the WBA awaits the winner between him and Austin Ammo Williams. That's £160. This, of course, is at £168 as Conway just creeps down towards that 160 limit. Of course, we've seen him campaigning at 154, but wow, being in the gym with him while he was just making the last bit of that weight last night, not a chance he'll make 160, 154 these days. Big guy, strong guy too, and looking to make a statement in Las Vegas on September 17th. But tomorrow night, of course, he has got business to attend to. A couple of young Sheffield undercard fighters alongside Dalton Smith as part of his supporting cast tomorrow night. Janae Bostan, who we hear very good things about from Sonny Edwards and the team around him, who were going second on Before the Bell. All that action starts at about 4 o'clock on Matchroom Boxing's YouTube channel. Myself and Jordan Gill will be calling the action. Nico Lavars, another stablemate of his, Darren and I called his debut a few months ago, looking very good too. And of course, a big night for them to impress in front of of Eddie Hearn as well. If they're to have big nights at Sheffield in the
Great
future.
opportunity. I love these next-gen shows because, like you said, there's an opportunity for these young, hungry fighters to cause a bit of a stir and turn some heads. And the most important head at the minute at this stage of their career is Eddie Hearn to impress and get on these big shows. So, yeah, great opportunity for these young guys.
Akin Fiaz back in action as well. Jamie Moore's young fighter was brought in originally to spar with Carl Frampton ahead of some of his big fight preparations 2 or 3 years ago, and so impressed with it. They kept him on full time. Had an unbelievably difficult year last year, of course, losing his mum and his best friend in a couple of weeks to COVID, and has, you know, rightly taken some time off. Got back to work on one of Steve Wood's shows a little while ago and has looked good doing so. He's in a kind of comeback tune-up fight against Jordan Ellison, well-known journeyman around the circuit from County Durham. That'll be 4th on Before the Bell after Nico Lavaz. That one's scheduled for 6 rounds at lightweight. And then Hopi Price, who again had a little bit of time out from injury. Dave Coldwell's young protege is part of that burgeoning stable in Sheffield too. Jordan Gill and Narone Richards, of course, alongside him. Hopi Price looking fantastic. Don't think it will be too long before we see him challenging for a British title, probably next year, Darren.
Well, look, you talk about Dalton Smith and having that young stable of fighters from Sheffield to build an undercard. Well, Hopi Price is just behind Warrington now, isn't he? He's not far off fighting for really big domestic titles for sure. And yeah, I mean, big fan of Hopi Price. The way he's matured, the way he's developing, has been very, very impressive.
Been chatting to Matthew Hatton about young Campbell. Said he's improving leaps and bounds in the gym. The best camp they've had so far. He's had a slightly quieter year this year than he did last year, because he had 5 fights in his first 9 months last year. Had a break over Christmas, came back to action, and this will be his 8th fight on Saturday night. He's up against Mikhail Dufack, who, well, he's 34 and 23, can bang a bit. 22 by way of knockout, and Campbell Hatton's going to have his wits about him on Saturday.
Yeah, this is a genuine step up. This against a dangerous live wire. You could say journeyman, but there's a lot of wins on his record, a lot of KOs. So I'm hearing good things from the Campbell Hatton camp. So he's going to have to be at his best. 4
big fights after Campbell Hatton on the main broadcast. But let's head on to our first of our Before the Bell fights. Kieran Conway and Gregory Chanel both ready to weigh in. So let's head over to the stage.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to Tudor Square here in Sheffield, England, for the official weigh-in for Saturday night's big night of fights taking place here at the Utilita Arena. It's all being brought to you courtesy of Mr. Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing, and I go out live around the world exclusively on DAZN. We're sponsored by Betfred, FCI Markets, and JD Sports. It's a great fight card. We've got a derby at the top of the bill, 10 fights, 3 title fights. So without further ado, let's go ahead and bring the fighters up to the stage so they can face the scale and face each other. Our first contest, 10 rounds for the vacant WBC International Super Lightweight Championship. And now making her way to the stage, please welcome from Derby, Medieval Sandy Ryan. And her opponent now making her way to the stage. She's the former WBC lightweight and super lightweight champion of the world, fighting out of Buenos Aires, Argentina. Please welcome Erica La Pantera Annabella Farias.
Kristen Hill is my mic live now.
First on the scale, ladies and gentlemen, Sandy Ryan. 139 pounds, 4 ounces for Sandy Ryan, 139.4. And now to the scale, ladies and gentlemen, Erica La Pantera Annabella Farias. 138 pounds and 8 ounces for Annabella Farias. On a bill of party, Sandy Ryan, 10 rounds for the vacant WBC International Super Lightweight Championship.
Y aguanta Argentina, aguanta Argentina, aguanta Argentina. Mañana te saco del ring, flaca. ¡Vamos, Argentina!
Darius Ryan, 10 rounds for the vacant WBC International Super Lightweight Championship.
Well, you're as surprised as us that those two weighed in first. I've got no idea how or why that happened. That wasn't Kieran Conway and Gregory Chanel. I think they're up next. Kieran Conway even looked confused there. He said, I thought I was on the stage. But I'll tell you what an interesting social dynamic that was, watching them face off, and how different Sandy Ryan seemed in her demeanour compared to last time.
Composed, mature Sandy Ryan. You know, we've seen her before, very fiery, always never short of a few words to say, but it was all business there. She, listening to Clifton and her whole team, and even Sandy herself, she wasn't right for the first one. She's extremely ready for this, and I've no doubt it's going to be a cracker again.
Well, she's coming 4 pounds lighter. Yeah. It's very evident from her physique alone, just the kind of work that's been put into this camp that wasn't put in the last one. And of course, we know things outside of the ring can you know, really affect things that go on inside the ring, and in your preparation it has done, and she's in a completely different place. And I would go as far as to say, having known her for a couple of years, she seems like a different person these last few weeks as well. How will it bode? And sets up a fascinating rematch between former 2-weight world champion Erica Fares from Argentina, who's fired up, trying to get in the face and in the head of Sandy Ryan. Doesn't look like she did it. How will they fare in the ring on Saturday night? That is our chief support. Brilliant £140 clash to sort of set the table for the main event. And well, I'd love to tell you that it is Kieran Conway and Gregory Chanel. Kieran Conway is waiting, so I think he is next, but we'll give you a little bit more on that when I find out.
Do you know what? I have to say, I love this confusion. I love it when it gets a bit confusing, because your face is like, what's going on? What's happening?
Well, they say next fighters are ready. Why don't we all find out who they are together, shall we? Let's head back over to David.
Our next contest, ladies and gentlemen, 8 rounds in the super middleweight division. Now making his way to the stage, his professional record, 16 wins, 8 defeats, 2 draws. He has 6 wins coming by way of knockout. Fighting out of Danville, France, please welcome the crazy Frenchie, Gregory Chanel. And his opponent now making his way to the stage. His professional record, 17 victories, 2 defeats, 1 draw. He has 3 wins coming by way of knockout. Fighting out of Northampton, here's the former WBA Intercontinental Super Welterweight Champion, Kieran "Two-Class" Conway. And now to the scales, Gregory Chanel.
The crazy Frenchie! Ah!
166 pounds, 9 ounces for the crazy Frenchie, Gregory Chanel. And now to the scale from Northampton, 2-class, Kieran Conway. 167 pounds, 6 ounces for 2-class Kieran Conway. Conway v. Chanel, 8 rounds, super middleweights. Sheffield, England, Matchroom Boxing, live on DAZN.
Gregory Chanel. Magician shift at 12, weigh in at 1. That's his vibe. Kieran Conway, though, ready to go and knows he's got business to attend to, creeping down towards that 160-pound limit. Yeah, he can have its risks doing things like this. We saw Sam Eckington ahead of a big fight. The name escapes me now. It's annoying. And he got chinned by Hassan Moukinho because he took his eye off the ball. Right. Unlikely to happen to this to Kieran Conway because he knows the prize is at stake in about 5 weeks' time. But you can never say never.
There's pros and cons to this. Like you say, even if the fight's going your way, your clash of heads can happen, etc. But as far as timing, your distance, and being under those bright lights, it really does help in preparation for such a big fight that's looming for Conway.
It's driving me mad. I can't think who it was at Eggington was supposed to fight, and I can see his name and everything. It will come to you. Someone will be shouting it at the screen, I'm sure. Junaid Bostan will be weighing in next. Brilliant young middleweight, looking very, very good as well. Switch hit. Again, grew up around the Ingles Gym style, and now under the tutelage of Grant Smith too. He's up against Jose Clavero. That's a super welterweight contest, over 6 rounds on before the bell. Second up, round about 4:30 on Matchroom Boxing's YouTube channel. Both fighters ready to weigh in, so let's head back over to the stage.
Ladies and gentlemen, our next contest, 6 rounds in the super welterweight division. Now making his way to the stage, presentando de Granada, Andalucía, España. Please welcome Jose Manuel Lopez Clavero. And his opponent now making his way to the stage. His young professional record thus far perfect. 1 fight, 1 victory, and that victory came by way of knockout. Fighting out of Rotherham, please welcome the 2-time amateur national champion, Junaid Bostan. Now to the scale, Jose Clavero. 156.3 for Clavero. 156 pounds, 3 ounces for Clavero. And now to the scale, the young fighter from Rotherham, Junaid Bostan. 155.7 for Junaid Bostan. 155 pounds, 7 ounces for Junaid Bostan. Bostan v. Clavero, 6-round super welterweights, Matchroom Boxing, live on DAZN from Sheffield, England.
I met Junaid Bostan for the first time just ahead of the open workout while you were sitting on a train for 6 hours. And what a calm, confident young man, full belief, having grown up around Galahad, Kilbrook and those lads at the Ingles Gym. He's been at these big fight weeks. He said, I know how to sell myself. I know I'm going to be a showman in the ring Saturday night. He said, you're going to see what a special fighter I am, and I'll be one of the names to watch in years to come.
He spoke really well, didn't he, yesterday at the press conference? And Junaid's a gym rat. And what a gym rats are usually... What they usually do is they spend time around champions, and that's exactly what he's aspiring to be, a champion, and that rubs off on you. So I'm a huge fan of his talent and his boxing know-how, and the future is going to be very bright for Junaid.
Certainly is. Brandon Rios, that was the fighter that Sam Eggington was supposed to box. Stablemate.
He Googled it.
Yeah, I did. Junaid Bostan, stablemate of Nico Lavaz. He's third on the bill. Young bantamweight. This one's made at 120 pounds. Angel Chavez from Barcelona is his opponent. Both fighters are ready to weigh in.
Ladies and gentlemen, the action continues in our next contest. 6 rounds in the bantamweight division. First making his way to the stage, his professional record, 3 wins, 3 defeats, all 3 of his wins coming by way of knockout. Presentando de Girona, Andalucía, España. Please welcome Angel, El Niño de Oro, the Golden Boy, Gabriel Chavez. And his opponent now making his way to the stage, his young professional record thus far perfect, 2 fights, 2 victories. Fighting out of Mansfield, here's the 2-time GB Championship gold medalist, the 2-time National Elite Champion, the Haringey Cup gold medalist, and the 2-time Ireland Monkstown gold medalist, Nico Lavars. Now to the scale, the golden boy, Angel Gabriel Chavez. 121 pounds, 4 ounces for Chavez. And now to the scale, the undefeated Nico Lavars. 123.2, 123 pounds, 2 ounces for Nico Lavars. Lavars v. Chavez, 6 rounds bantamweights, matchroom boxing, live on DAZN from Sheffield, England.
So that's our third fight on the bill. What you don't see behind the scenes here is Darren Barker's both simultaneously trying to hold together a broadcast and make sure he doesn't lose his children. Sort of like Home Alone, isn't it? Charlie's just going making friends with the people of Sheffield. But he's there, he's safe. Nico Lavars has weighed in 120 pounds. He will campaign, of course, at 118 for titles, which he expects to box perhaps for an area or an English, maybe the back end of next year. But he's moving well so far under Grant Smith's tutors. That lovely, smooth Steel City style that you can see embedded in all of their fighters. Yeah. And, of course, he'll be looking forward to big nights to come, potentially under more Dalton Smith headliners, if he, of course, is victorious on Saturday night. Akim Fiaz, another young man who's looking for domestic titles, perhaps at the back end of this year or the beginning of next after a very difficult 12 months. He is back in action on Saturday night against Jordan Ellison, and both fighters are ready to weigh in.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Sheffield, England, the weigh-in continues. Our next contest, 6 rounds in the lightweight division. Now making his way to the stage, fighting out of CM. Please welcome Jordan Ellison. And his opponent now making his way to the stage. His professional record, a perfect one. 8 fights, 8 victories. Fighting out of Oldham, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Akim Fiaz. Now to the scale, Jason Ellison. Jordan Ellison. 137.8 for Jordan Ellison, 137.8. And now to the scale, the undefeated Akim Fiaz. $137.3 for Akim Fiaz, 137.3. Akim Fiaz, Jordan Ellison, 6 rounds lightweights, matchroom boxing, live on DAZN from Sheffield, England.
Very solid journeyman, Jordan Ellison, just to get Akim Fiaz's wheels back and moving. He's boxed on one of Steve Wood's shows not too long ago to get moving again, but I think sensible to ease him back into life after the year, 18 months that he's had.
Yeah, big fan of Akim. Really good fighter, still maturing, so I think that power is yet to come. But yeah, big fan, and activity is key on these big shows for Hackett.
Yeah, certainly is. Hopey Price had a step up a couple of fights ago in Leeds against the former Central Area featherweight champion, passed it with flying colours, and he hasn't really put a foot wrong so far in his 7 fights. Got better and better and better, and we've seen some power and spike to add to the obvious finesse that he's brought from the amateur game. Dave Caldwell really happy with his progress. He's up again, finishing off the action on Before the Bell, round about 6:30, 7:15, I would imagine. Scheduled for 8 rounds, this featherweight contest against Alejandro Mejia from Managua in Nicaragua. So we'll see how Hopey Price gets on, and that will finish the action on Before the Bell before we get going on the main card. Campbell Hatton and Mikhail Dufack, Jordan Thompson in against Vasyl Dutsar. Potentially really difficult fight there. Johnny Fisher in action as well. Sandy Ryan, who we've seen weigh in ahead of Dalton Smith and Sam O. Mason. But Hopey Price is now ready to weigh in, so let's head back over to the stage.
Ladies and gentlemen, the weigh-in continues on this beautiful day here in Sheffield. Our next contest, 8 rounds in the super bantamweight division. Now making his way to the stage, his professional record, 18 wins against 3 defeats, 7 of his wins coming by way of knockout. Presentando el hijo de la capital Managua, Nicaragua. Here's the former WBA featherweight and the reigning Nicaraguan super bantamweight champion, Alexander Mejia. And his opponent now making his way to the stage. His professional record, absolutely perfect. 7 fights, 7 victories, 3 of them coming by way of knockout. Fighting out of Leeds, here is the skilled young southpaw, Hopey Price. Now to the scale, ladies and gentlemen, Alexander Mejia. 124 pounds, 4 ounces for Alexander Mejia, 124.4. And now to the scale, ladies and gentlemen, the undefeated Hopey Price. $125.4 for Hopey Price, 125 pounds, 4 ounces for Hopey Price. Price v. Mejia, 8-round super bantamweights. Matchroom Boxing live on DAZN from Sheffield, England.
Yeah, good fighter, Mejia. Last 9 opponents have got a combined record of 83 wins against about 20 losses, and he's beaten 7 of those 9. So consistently faces opponents with a winning record, consistently beats them. But I doubt he's ever been in with somebody like Hopey Price at this stage of his career.
Absolutely. Do you know what? We've been a big fan of Hopey Price since day one, and we've always said when that maturity comes, he's going to be a handful. And you can see that in his last couple of performances, looking so spiteful, very heavy-handed, but his boxing brain's ridiculous. He's going to be a very hard man to beat.
I was speaking to Danny Wilson from Boxing Science, who do his strength and conditioning, and he said when he's on his S&C, that's when you see the best out of him, and I know he's had a good count with them, so expecting another explosive, spiteful performance from Hopey Price to cap off proceedings on Before the Bell, before we go live on the main broadcast on DAZN at 7 o'clock local time from the Sheffield Arena. The first of 5 fights on the main broadcast. Campbell Hatton and Mikhail Dufack will be doing battle over 6 rounds. Campbell's got a couple more 6 rounds, he said to me last night, before I think they moved to 8, but he's been up to 8 and 10 rounds in sparring, says he's finished strong, well conditioned too, and I know Matthew Hatton is really pleased with his progress, and Matthew's very honest with young Campbell. He doesn't BS him, he said to me. He said, I'll know if things aren't going well or the level I'm at, and he does genuinely feel he's gone up a level in this camp. The rest has done him good over the last 6 months, having just slightly less frequent fights, giving him time to mature and learn in the gym, sparring some good opponents too, and we should, again, just see an incremental improvement from him.
We're never going to see drastic improvements because of the I guess the limited amateur experience. But as long as it's baby steps, we're constantly seeing improvements. That's fine, and Matthew certainly would be happy with that.
I think it's a sensible decision they took at the back end of last year, just to move him slightly further down the cards, do a few before the bells, because he was so high up on some slots, and that night in September was just a bit too much for him boxing in front of, well, the best part of 70,000, only about an hour before the main event.
Out in Spain.
So to come back, do some Spain shows, it's done in the world of good, and he's a top lad outside the gym, so wish him all the very best. He'll be kicking off proceedings on the main DAZN broadcast at 7 o'clock. Jordan Thompson, cruiserweight, who has just been somewhat of a revelation over the last year. We were chatting to Eddie Hearn about him yesterday after the press conference, and I can remember when Eddie said to me, how much do you know about this kid? I said, well, I'm obviously aware of him, but I hadn't heard much of him for a couple of years and assumed maybe he drifted from boxing, as a lot of fighters do during the pandemic, and I think he was very close to it until he met Brian Peters. But that opportunity's opened the doors for him, and wow, what a relief and a win for boxing that he's got back on the bandwagon, because he looks something special, doesn't he?
I'm very glad he didn't choose to pack it in, because what a great fighter he is. I mean, what a career he's got in front of him. No easy fight against Dufack. I think it's great matchmaking, the perfect opponent at the right time. If he gets past Dufack in good fashion, a stoppage will be a huge statement. And Eddie said it there, 2023 will be the year for Jordan Thompson, where he will be in with those big names.
You get to that point as well. If you're one of the best in Britain at cruiserweight, you are probably one of the best in the world as well. And he knows where his level is. He sparred many camps with Tyson Fury ahead of the Wilder fights. He sparred with Myris Breedis and equipped himself very, very well with that too. Sparred Alexander Usyk in the early days. He's done the rounds with some of the very best on the planet at cruiserweight and at heavyweight too. So he understands where his level is. He just needs the opportunity against the bona fide opponent to show it. This is that opponent Saturday night. We know how tough Dufack is. We've seen him against, you know, bona fide European level opposition in Chris Billham-Smith, and he gave him a hell of a fight.
Look, there's an opportunity here. There's an opening. Look, you've got CBS, you've got Chris Billham-Smith, and you've got Riakporhe at the top of the tree, you could say, domestically, but they're not far off. There's going to be opening. Cody's going to go up. There's an opportunity for a new star in the cruiserweight division. He'll put his name in the hat for that.
Certainly will. And I'm just hearing that Campbell Hatton's opponent is a little bit delayed, so we are going to weigh in Jordan Thompson and Vasyl Dufack next. So let's head back to the stage and get the cruiserweights on the scales.
I'll shake your hand. Nice to meet you. Ladies and gentlemen, the weigh-in continues right now. We go 10 rounds for the vacant IBF European Cruiserweight Championship. Making his way to the stage, his professional record, 11 wins, 5 defeats, 1 draw. He has 10 wins coming by way of knockout. He fights out of Znojma, Czech Republic. Here's the former WBF Intercontinental and the reigning Czech Cruiserweight Champion, Vasyl Dufack. And his opponent making his way to the stage, his professional record, a perfect one. 13 fights, 13 victories, 11 of them coming by way of knockout. Fighting out of Manchester, England, here is the practitioner of artistic violence, Jordan Troublesome Thompson. Now to the scale, the battle-ready Vasyl Dufack. $197.6 for Dufack. 197.6. And now to the scale, the undefeated Mancunian Jordan Troublesome Thompson. 198.2, 198 pounds, 2 ounces for Jordan Troublesome Thompson.
Hello, Jake.
Need that one in the real one. Right, close it, boys, into the front first.
Jordan Thompson, Vasil Dutsar, 10 rounds for the vacant IBF European Cruiserweight Championship.
I've said this a couple of times this week. I mean, very surprised at how big Vasil Dutsar is in person. He's billed as 6'3". Obviously, he's more like 6'5", and we know, Darren, having to speak to the matchmakers about his preparation going into this fight.
Spoke to Christian Churchy, matchmaker, and he told me for the Chris Billam-Smith fight, Dutsar had 1 week's notice, and you see how hard he pushed him. For this camp, he's had 7 weeks. 7-week training camp. So Jordan Thompson's got the best Vasil Dutsar.
This could end up being fight of the night, you know.
It really could be.
Fantastic.
Really, really could be.
Well, it's scheduled for 10 rounds this, as you mentioned, the IBF European Cruiserweight title on the line, but for Jordan Thompson, really an opportunity to prove that he is one of the best domestic fighters at Cruiserweight in the country. But Vasil Dutsar, no gimme whatsoever. That's second up on the live broadcast. Do not miss this one. Campbell Hatton's opponent, Michel Dufack, has arrived. Both fighters are ready to weigh in, so let's hand you back over to David Diamante.
Ladies and gentlemen, our next contest, 6 rounds in the lightweight division. Now making his way to the stage, his professional record, 34 victories, 23 defeats, 2 draws. He's got 22 big wins coming by way of knockout. Fighting out of Prague, Czech Republic, please welcome Michael Dufack. Dufack. And his opponent making his way to the stage, his professional record unblemished. Perfect at 7 fights, 7 victories, 2 of them coming by way of knockout. Fighting out of Manchester, England, please welcome Campbell, the Hurricane Hatton. Hatton. Now to the scale, Michael Dufack. 136.2 for Michael Dufack. 136 pounds, 2 ounces for Michael Dufack. And now to the scale, the undefeated Campbell, the Hurricane Hatton. 137.6 for Campbell Hatton, 137 pounds, 6 ounces for Campbell Hatton. Hatton versus Dufack, 6 rounds, lightweights, Sheffield, England, Matchroom Boxing live on DAZN.
So both inside the 138-pound agreed limit. This is, of course, scheduled at lightweight, but about 3 pounds above. Campbell Hatton's 8th contest against Michel Dufack, so that will open proceedings on DAZN. Johnny Fisher back in action as well after sustaining that hand injury against Gabriel Nguema at Alexandra Palace in what I think was our first show of the year, Ryder Jacobs, wasn't it? Really great fight, sold 2,000 tickets, and even at peak holiday period when everybody's away, they've shifted over 800 for this one in Sheffield. I mean, he is some sort of sensation, Johnny Fisher. His dad's been working hard shifting the tickets. He's in against Michael Reisinger, who's 3-1 from the Czech Republic, and another notch, hopefully, in the win column for Johnny Fisher on Saturday.
Do you know what? You'd have learned an awful lot against Nguema, that you're not going to steamroll everyone. Reisinger, it's a really interesting, I mean, this is his 4th fight. In his 3rd fight, he fought 10 rounds. Yeah. So he's tough. He lost the fight, but it was a split decision. He's tough. It's another fight where I'm sure, excuse me, Johnny Fisher will learn an awful lot.
Certainly will. Well, they're about to hit the scales, so let's hand you back over to David.
Ladies and gentlemen, our next contest, 6 rounds in the heavyweight division. Now making his way to the stage, his professional record, 3 wins, 1 defeat. He has 2 wins coming by way of knockout. He fights out of Kazan, Czech Republic. Please welcome Michael Reisinger. And his opponent now making his way to the stage, his professional record, a perfect one. 5 fights, 5 victories, 4 of them coming by way of knockout. Fighting out of Romford, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Johnny, the Romford Bull Fisher. Now to the scale, Michael Reisinger. $249.8 from Michael Reisinger. And now to the scale, Bosch Johnny, the Romford Bull Fisher. 241.6, 241.6 for the Romford Bull, Johnny Fisher. Fisher versus Reisinger, 6 rounds, heavyweights, matchroom boxing, live on DAZN from Sheffield, England.
Big man, isn't he, Michael Reisinger? But so is Johnny Fisher. 4 pound heavier than when he faced Gabriel Nguema at Ali's Archer Palace. 237 there, 241 here. And he's had an extended camp for this. Did about 2 or 3 weeks of tech sparring with Guido Vianello just to get the kind of weight down and get fit again. Then he's done another 8 or 9 weeks on top of that. So about a 10, 11-week camp in total. So we know he's fit going into this one. And we hope to see the best of him tomorrow night. Wouldn't want to see him get too heavy. Wouldn't want to see him push too much towards 250 because you can start to lose those attributes.
But I mean, the worrying, not the worrying thing.
It looks,
I don't know what it is. Is it exciting?
Yeah.
He could only get bigger. I mean, he's such a young lad still that he's still got time to grow. But yeah, nice patient display of boxing I'd like to see this time. Get behind the jab, plenty of feints, and yeah, I'm sure we'll see a better Johnny Fisher this time.
So that's third from the top of the bill. If you've only just joined us in the last 10 or 15 minutes, Sandy Ryan and Erica Farris weighed in at the very top of the show. So that is everything on the undercard done and dusted. And that only leaves us to weigh in our main event, £140 British title clash, all Sheffield occasion between Dalton Smith and Sam O'Mason. Tomorrow night from the Sheffield Arena, live on DAZN, and both fighters are ready to weigh in.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to Tudor Square here in Sheffield, England for the official weigh-in for our big night of fights taking place here on Saturday night at the Utilita Arena. And it's now time to weigh in the main event of the evening, as Mr. Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing is proud to present 12 rounds of boxing for the vacant British Super Lightweight Championship. Now making his way to the stage, please welcome a southpaw with a professional record of 17 wins, 3 defeats, 1 draw. He has 7 wins coming by way of knockout. He fights out of Sheffield, England. Ladies and gentlemen, here's the former English Super Lightweight Champion, Sam the Sensation O'Mason. And his opponent now making his way to the stage, his professional record, a perfect one. 11 fights, 11 victories, 9 of them coming by way of knockout. Here's the former English and the reigning and undefeated WBA Intercontinental and WBC International Silver Super Lightweight Champion, fighting out of right here in Sheffield, England, Dalton Thunder Smith. Now to the scale, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome Sam, the Sensation O'Mason. $139.2 for Sam, the Sensation O'Mason. 139.2. And now to the scale, the undefeated Dalton Thunder Smith. $139.3 for Dalton Thunder Smith. 139 pounds, 3 ounces for Dalton Thunder Smith. Dalton Smith, Sam O'Mason. Main event in a Steel City Derby, Saturday night from the Utilita Arena. Matchroom Boxing live on DAZN. 12 rounds for the vacant British Super Lightweight Championship.
Well, there's no bad blood between the pair of them, but they both know what's at stake tomorrow night. And Darren, physiques aren't everything on the scales, but we've watched Dalton Smith on his last 4 or 5 on the scales up close. That's the most granular and muscular he's looked in camp. Sam O'Mason in fantastic condition. No corners have been cut by either in camp by the look of them at all.
No, I mean, huge. I mean, neither of them will say it, but there's a lot of pressure on both these fighters, fighting in front of their home crowd, in their home city, with what's at stake, the most beautiful belt in boxing, the British title. It's a huge fight for both. My question is, will a star be born tomorrow night in Dalton Smith? He's the bookie's favourite, most in the boxing world, but certainly in this country, favour Dalton to win. It's a massive fight. It's a world title fight, essentially, for Sean O'Mason, what it could do for his career. But Dalton Smith, there's something about him that makes
Could you grab a mic for Eddie, Darren?
Star.
Eddie, we're just saying that this... Oh, don't worry, mate. I paid for that as well.
Yeah.
We're just saying, is this tomorrow night give you an idea as to whether you have got a new star on your hands in Dalton Smith?
Yeah, I mean, I know we got a star, but it's how he deals with Sam O'Mason. We talked about it yesterday, didn't we? I mean, you know, you get critiqued for putting him alongside the names of Josh Taylor and Teofimo Lopez, but that's where we want and expect Dalton Smith to be in time. So if he's as good as that, Sam O'Mason's come in the shape of his life, the opportunity of his life. but I expect Dalton Smith to put in a performance tomorrow night where everyone says, wow, this kid, you know, you heard the atmosphere today, you'll see the crowd tomorrow night. It's all about momentum. And if this kid can do a job tomorrow night that gets the city and the country excited, then we start moving him on to big fights, the European and World Championship honours.
Because we saw how, I suppose, how quickly Josh Taylor went from top of domestic to the top of world level. O'Hara Davis was supposed to be his 50-50 night, and he dealt with it and suddenly raced up towards the top of the division. If Dalton Smith is ready and all the signs are there, is there any point holding him back?
To be honest, I think that's a great example of someone who probably at that time, certain people within Josh Taylor's camp were talking about him in the same breath as those fighters. But I was even one, you know, we worked with O'Hara at the time. I wasn't convinced that Josh Taylor was ready to start fighting for world titles and unifying, and he came through very quickly. Obviously, O'Hara, Postal, and then before you knew it, he was there. So there's many levels between Samo Mason and a world championship at 140, but I do believe that he's the type of fighter that could progress through those levels quickly. Like, I feel like he wins the British title comfortably, he probably wins the European title comfortably, and then before you know it, you're in a position where there's not many more levels to go to. And, you know, I think tomorrow night will give us a good indication in terms of where he's at.
What, for you as a promoter, how encouraging it must be to know that the fan base is there. Over 5,000 tickets sold.
You don't really know until you do it. So, like, as I said yesterday, Dalton's not really boxed a lot in Sheffield. So, you know, he's sold tickets on the road, but it's only when you come back to the city. I just think that, listen, life's about timing, and this is just the perfect timing for Sheffield. You've got, obviously, Kid Galahad lost, he's coming back, Kell Brook's retired. This is a city where big fights have been here for many, many years, but there's no one here outside of Dalton Smith in Sheffield that is capable of filling that arena. And I think they're knowledgeable fight fans. They see a young man who actually could go on and achieve. It's one thing getting behind a fighter that's popular and a good lad and sells tickets. It's another one actually getting behind one that could go on and win world championships. Here they've got both. And they're not silly. They know that they'll support him, but if they think, wow, actually this kid could start filling this arena, you see it so often with fighters who come in. Josh Warrington, a good example. When we first took him to Leeds, he did about 3,000 or 4,000. I thought, wow, he's got a good fan base. 3 fights later, he's doing 9,000. And that's exactly the route it'll go with Dalton Smith if he keeps winning. Yeah.
Sandy Ryan looking very different in demeanour and physique to last time out, 4 pound lighter. Of course, clearly the camp's gone a lot better. It was a big risk last time out. Are you expecting to see a more competent performance from her?
Yeah, I think, you know, I mean, you look at the difference, 4 pounds. I mean, it looks like 14 pounds.
Yeah.
I mean, she looked absolutely shredded. You've never seen that physique on her before, amateur or pro, and it shows you the work that she's put into this camp. I think she's nervous. Like, you know, she didn't bite up there, which I think was important, but you can tell she's nervous because there's so much on the line. But I think that'll bring the best out of her, in all honesty. I think going into that fight, she was probably a little bit too overconfident of steamrolling through these other opponents and thinking she was going to do the same to Farias.
I think that's that defeat probably done her the world of good. It's humbled her a little bit. She looks composed and mature up there for me. She'll be nervous, no doubt, but I feel what I'm hearing in the camp is that it's going to be a completely different Sandy Ryan. If it was to be a close fight and she wins, Sandy Ryan, could we see that fight again?
Yeah, because I think outside of Farias, you kind of move into a world championship fight anyway. Yeah. At 140, you know, Farias is a 2-division champion. She's had great fights with McCaskill and the like. So, like, and is Sandy ready for the 140 champions? I mean, you've got Chantel Cameron has most of the belts. You've got great fights like Mary McGee. You know, we saw her in Kaylee Reese, see what happens with her coming back as well. But Farias is as good as a world champion, really, in terms of quality. So I think tomorrow will tell us everything we need to know. But there is a lot of pressure on Sandy Ryan tomorrow night. But it'll be a great fight, by the way, as will Jordan Thompson against Vasil Dukav, because as people know about young fighters that have to jump in and take risks, Vasil Dukav has had 9 weeks for this preparation.
Well, Christian said 7 weeks.
Yeah, but I'm a promoter. Call it 9.
9 weeks. Yeah. But the difference is he had 1 week for Christian Smith. So Jordan Thompson is facing the best.
I think this is a really, really tough fight for Jordan Thompson. I mean, I rate him very highly, and he's, you know, if Vasil Dukav didn't have a granite chin, I would say that I fancy, you know, Jordan Thompson to run through him. But if he can stand up to the power of Jordan Thompson, then this fight's going to get very interesting, because all we know about Jordan Thompson is he's got loads of ability and he can really punch and he's extremely athletic. How is he 5, 6, 7, 8 rounds in when it starts getting a little bit tough? This is exciting. This is what we want. We want to find out how good Jordan Thompson is, because he's ready.
Yeah, some brilliant fights on the bill. 11 in total, starting at 4 o'clock on Before the Bell. Myself and Jordan Gill will be calling those 2 brilliant 140-pound fights. Top the bill, Sandy Ryan and Erica Farias rematch. Dalton Smith and Sam Mason for the Lonsdale belt at super lightweight. Live from the Sheffield Arena on DAZN around the world tomorrow night. Thanks for your company this fight week. We will see you tomorrow on Fight Night.
A seminal night for the Sheffield fighter. He's one of the very best prospects in British boxing.
Here is the celebrated and highly decorated British amateur sensation.
His reactions and his timing looks impeccable.
Wow. Terrific variety and accuracy.
He looks something else, doesn't he?
Dalton Smith, you can see what the fuss is about.
Left hook, so there is the right hand.
Wow.
Over the top.
The uppercut into play there on him, does land the right hand.
His first opportunity to peel off the label prospect and replace it with one which reads contender.